Recently, I met a person who is at a very high position, and I would be reading his hand. I do not have the actual images of his hand, and I would keep it a secret, but I would try to explain to you whatever his palm indicates. What was unique about his palm is that few negative aspects he had in his palm, and yet it is giving positive result. Like in palmistry or in astrology, it is known as Neech Bhang Rajyog. We cannot say with certainty that it is a Neech Bhang Rajyog, but I would tell you from the point of view of the palmistry alone. That is it. Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. You can call me or you can email me. These are the phone number and the email that are mentioned out here. Let me first explain the finger of Jupiter. This is the finger of Jupiter. This is the most important finger to refer to regarding anybody reaching up to a high position in one's life. It can be in politics or any other position that the person may attain in their life. So if a person, let me first describe what basically Jupiter represents and what a short finger and a long finger would represent, and then I would actually tell you what this particular a person at a very high position of honor and respect and lots of power, what he has. So the first thing is that a long finger of Jupiter in comparison to the Saturn finger, we always have to compare it with some finger or the other. So it's never, the first finger is never going to be longer than the Saturn finger. It's going to be somewhere close to the Saturn finger. That's where we find that the Jupiter finger is long. So a long Jupiter finger signifies that the person is likely to be bossy. Those qualities are going to be, the Jupiter qualities are there in abundance. They are there in excess. So sometimes anything that is in excess doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to give more benefit. Now it's the opposite. Let's take the case of where the Jupiter finger is short, quite short. We have to compare the Jupiter finger with the Sun finger. Normally, sometimes the Sun finger is longer and sometimes the Jupiter finger is longer. This is the Sun finger and this is the Jupiter finger. So when the Jupiter finger is substantially short, when we say substantially short, it is reaching somewhere till this point or this particular point. So that's where we find that the Jupiter finger is short. A short Jupiter finger signifies that the person might be submissive by nature and the person could be submissive by nature. So these two qualities come into force in this particular person's hand. So in this particular person, the person who is at a very high position, he has a short finger of Jupiter. Now the question arises, how come a person with a short Jupiter finger can reach up to a high position? It is going against what basically the planet Jupiter represents. Now in reality is quite different from what we read in the books. So what happens is that if a person has got a particular finger or a particular mount absent, it might give reverse result as well. We have to also take a look at the practical aspect. We have to look at the practical aspect, why this particular person is installed at a position of power. Now whoever has kind of installed this particular person at a high position, they don't want a bossy person. So there's A person and this person is B. So if the B person has got a long finger of Jupiter, the person is likely to be bossy. And if the person is bossy, the person A who's heading, they would kind of get disturbed with B. So A doesn't want any problem. So that's the reason why they want a person who listens to them. So that's the reason why the person is put at such a position where the person is submitting by nature and submissive by nature. So this is one aspect why even a short finger does give result. But apart from that, don't think that just because a person has got a short Jupiter finger, it's always going to bring good result. It is not like that. Just by looking at one particular sign or one particular good symbol on your palm, you cannot say that everything is going to be good. There has to be many other good aspects of the palm as well. Now this is the headline. This was the headline in this particular person's case, and there are few upward lines pointing towards the mount of Jupiter. Jupiter is a big planet, and if lines from Jupiter kind of originate and join into the main headline, it means that the person is honor seeking, the person wants expansion, the person wants growth, expansion, respect. So these qualities come into force in this particular person's case, and that's the reason why things are likely to be good, not just at one particular portion of life, it is going to be at every portion of life. So this is one way of looking at it. Now we take a look from the other aspect. This is the heart line, and in his case the sun line from here to here is not so strong, and it is comparatively weak. And beyond and above the heart line, the age from this point onwards, this intersection point onwards, this is the sun line and this is the heart line. So this intersection, the age is 53. So beyond the age of 53, you would find that the sun line is quite deep and clear. So after the age of 53, 54, 55, that this is just an approximate, the person would be more successful. We won't say that just because a person has got a strong line, he's going to be successful. It has got something to do with the person is kind of energizing his work much more after the age of 53, 54, 55. That this is just an approximate. A strong sun line signifies that the person would be able to energize their work. Some people call the sun line to be the luck line, some people call it to be the name and fame line, but I basically say that if a person has got a strong sun line, it signifies that the person is able to energize their work. And when the lines are very thin, meek, weak, when they are weak, comparatively weaker and broken, it basically signifies that the person is not energizing their work. There's something lacking in their work, and that's the reason why their work does not shine as much as when the sunline becomes much more stronger. The other aspect that was seen in his particular case is that the sun finger is comparatively longer. It's not going to be longer than the Saturn finger. It is kind of nearing the Saturn finger. So this a long sun finger signifies risk taking ability. So these qualities are there, probably are there in this particular person's case, risk taking abilities. And a long sun finger also kind of gives a lot of shine to this particular person. These people become more social kind, and they basically kind of shine in the society just like the sun. This is the sun, and sun basically has got lots of light. So a long finger of sun basically would signify that lots of light is there in this particular person, and the person basically gets recognized easily. So when we compare a long sun finger with a short finger of Jupiter, so at one portion I would say that the person is submitting, the person is submissive, but not so submissive. Like, don't think that the person is totally submissive. It's not like that. It is just submitting to the other people's wishes more often than their own wishes. This is one way of looking at it. And the person is not bossy at all, even being at a high position. A long finger of sun signifies that the person might be egoistic. The person might be very risk-taking kind, and the person basically shines. They love society, they love to socialize. This is what they are basically. The other aspect in his case was that the Mercury finger is comparatively long, and it is kind of crossing over this particular point of the sun finger, the top phalange line of the sun finger, and reaching somewhere at this particular portion. So a long finger of Mercury would signify that the person is good at calculation and good at communication. So this is a positive aspect. And apart from that, the person also had these perpendicular lines under the finger of Mercury. Perpendicular lines means the person has the skill. The person has the skills for communication and calculations. So being a person in politics, you need to be very measured with your words. So and it's not just for politics that this area is referred to. This area is also referred for business. This area is also referred for science, mathematics, economics, biology, chemistry, everything. So to be a good communicator, the area of Mercury should have got less lines over it. And apart from the less lines, if a person does have these perpendicular lines, it is considered to be good. If the person has got horizontal lines, it's basically segmenting this particular area or subdividing this particular area. That's a negative sign. And if a person has got these crisscrossing lines, even those are considered to be bad. A person can have a V or a Y pointing something like this, then it's considered to be a good sign. So in all, I would say that this hand shows lots of possibilities, and we are just looking at possibilities. We can't say everything with certainty, but certainly even when a particular finger is short, comparatively shorter than is expected, it still can give result. This is the finger of politics, administration, religion, all these kind of things. In spite of this finger being extremely short, still the person gets positive results. So that's it for this particular reading. I hope you liked this particular video, and do press the bell icon on YouTube. Don't miss another update. There's a very important message that I want to convey out here. People want to know about money, possessions, and wealth, and people think that money line would tell everything regarding the money aspect. My take is that you can know only 15% of how much money you will be making in your life just by looking at the money line. It is not one line that gives all the result. It is a combination of the heart, head, life, sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and every possible line and every possible mount on your palm that can give you result, positive or negative. And a saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or a palmist to know about your future, because you already know your future. Present is a result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are really important. Keep positive thoughts and keep good company. That's what matters the most. If you are in the bad company, it's going to take you in the wrong direction. If you are in the right company, even if there are negative aspects showing up in your palm, it may not apply at all. So company matters the most. Same case with this particular person. He reached a high position because he was in the right company. Thanks for watching. Bye and take care.